Hi, and welcome to day 5 of our life hack adulting course called the Thrive Budget. I'm Natalie Pace, I'm your hostess. And today we're going to focus on how we can reduce our big ticket energy costs, right? So whether it's gasoline or electric bills, etc. Because we usually, even if we're renting, if we're homeowners, for sure, this is something we need to do. But even as renters, we have to pay for these costs ourselves. So we need to start rethinking them. How can we cut that in half? I know people that cut it by, I know people that pay less than $50 a month on their electric bill. So that for most of us would be at least cutting our electric bill in half. I know people that don't buy gasoline hardly at all. And for a lot of us, that's going to be a savings of at least $2,500 per year. So let's take a look at some of these other life hacks that we can utilize in order to live a richer life. Here we go. So LED lighting saves up to 85% on our lighting bill. So it used to be that people would say, oh, the incandescent are just so much cheaper. Well, the LED light lasts for years longer than the incandescent. So it's not cheaper, even the unit cost. And it wasn't even back in the day. And a 15-watt LED emits the same amount of light as a 100-watt incandescent. What that means is that you're saving 85% on your electric bill. That's another math equation that people aren't using. So if you don't already have LED lighting, and if you're worried about the blue lighting, you can get there are life hacks there, Google it. You can get the softer lights, you can get the more red lights so that you don't have to worry about that kind of, the blue light exposure. If you are a homeowner, then you should definitely, and you live in a sunny state, you should definitely think about solar. And also, whether you are in a sunny state or not, energy efficiency upgrades. So I toured a passive house in upstate New York, and it was designed so that it was so insulated that if two humans were in there, it would get hot and you'd have to open the door because our bodies are 98.6 and the temperature we like is more like 75, right? So Fahrenheit for those of you that are watching in Europe. So it's really important to understand how to stop heating or cooling the outside, how to make your home more energy efficient. Obviously, the no-brainer is, don't heat and cool a house when you're not there, right? Like you may not want to come back into an oven, but most houses are well insulated enough that even if it's a hot day outside, it's not going to be as hot inside. And the same thing in the cold. So, I mean, you can test various things of how low it can go, but I think it's really important to understand don't heat and cool when you're not there and try as much as you can to use natural sources. One time it was funny, I was at a party and there were a bunch of us in a room. Again, human bodies create a lot of heat. And all of a sudden it got a little warm and someone said, turn on the air. And I said, why don't you open a window? It's 60 degrees outside, right? That's easy. So again, we can just start thinking of this. If you start thinking that these big appliances use a lot of electricity, right? The small appliances can be more like energy vampires, but the big appliances are energy hogs. And the bigger the appliance, the more it's costing you on your electric bill. So solar upgrades or solar panels, that can be like having a bond that pays you 15%. So for anybody living in a sunny state who hasn't taken advantage of the tax credit, now there's a life hack there too, by the way. Get your megawatt usage as low as possible before you get the solar quote. They won't tell you to do that, but you should. You could save yourself a boatload of money. Like if you can reduce your megawatt usage by half, you're going to need half as many solar panels. So this is really important to do. And if you're going to have solar and an electric vehicle, then you have to know about how much the juice your electric vehicle needs to. All right. So, as I said, energy hogs and energy vampires. It's really important to understand that the bigger the appliance, the more electricity it's going to use. So, with regard to your water heater, why are we heating and cooling water when we're asleep or at work? Can you put a timer on it so that when you're, maybe 10 minutes before you come home, just in case you want to jump right in the shower, that the water heater starts up and then it stops at night when you go to sleep. So I visited India, and there you actually have an on-off switch. So before you take a shower, about 20 minutes, you turn the water heater on, and the minute you get out, you turn it off. I mean, imagine how much savings, because water heaters are big appliances, right? That's not the only thing. You could also think about, by the way, your dishwasher is something that's using a lot of electricity. If you are cooking for one or two people, use a toaster oven instead of the giant oven. Do you need to use a dryer? Should you combine loans, or should you get a drying rack? In Italy, nobody uses a dryer. Everybody uses a drying rack. So, these are life hacks that they're not that big of a deal in your life, right? Like some of them, like the on-off switch on your water heater or a timer on your water heater, you're even going to forget about it, right? With regard to the drying rack, you'll get used to that. It's not a big deal. And the amount of money, again, dryers are big appliances. So the more that you can do this with the big appliances, wash your own dishes, or even though they're saying, oh, run your dishwasher every night, even if it only has two dishes in it. Wrong, wrong. That's a lot of electricity. That's a big cost, but that's also hard on the electric grid. And it's not that great for our planet either. Now, electronic devices and smaller appliances are energy vampires. So remember, even though they use less, if you have them on all the time, then they're constantly sucking it and it can really add up. So whether it's that cell phone charger that you always have in the wall, it doesn't have an on off switch. It's continuously sucking it, even if your cell phone is not hooked up to it. So be sure that you have some sort of on off switch on maybe a power supply, that you have everything hooked up to. So figure out ways that you can reduce the amount of time in use on your energy vampires. And certainly with lighting on when you enter, off when you leave. And then space heaters and fans if you're in a small place. This is something that's more geared towards homeowners because most renters don't have to pay their water bill. But homeowners, first of all, if you make your yard look like what it should look like for that particular area, particularly native plants, then you may not have to water at all. If you are going to have even native plants, think about mulch in the other areas because that's going to keep the water there rather than just having it exposed where it's going to evaporate. So you got to start consulting or looking online, doing your own life hack on that, on how to set up your yard so that you're not, I mean, look, grass in most places, unless you live in like Tennessee or England or Ireland, grass is really not the way to go. So you want to have native plants. They're also good for the pollinators, good for the planet, but really good for your budget because if you're a homeowner, you're spending a lot of money on water. So we talk about more of these things at our retreat, by the way. So Green Our Planet has built 197 school gardens in Las Vegas. They're saving the schools 50 million gallons of water each year by replacing a carpet of grass with outdoor learning gardens that, as you can see, the kids really love learning in. Now, again, once you do it for yourself, imagine if you do that with your school, then they're going to have more money to pay the PE teacher or the music teacher or to buy musical instruments or some of the things that get overlooked in in a tight school budget. Think about, we already talked about transportation, gas prices, historic highs. OPEC wants to keep them really high. Now, what's interesting here is that the reason that gas prices are under $80 or oil prices are under $80 a barrel is because China has been adopting electric vehicles. On average, an electric vehicle, juicing it up with electricity, is going to cost you about half of what it would cost if you had an internal combustion engine, and had to gas up at the gas station. So it may be worth it to think about an electric vehicle. There's a huge tax credit right now going on for EVs. So think about that if you are somebody who wants to drive. If there is good public transportation, and listen, Los Angeles, I mean, it's a car culture. And I gave up my car years ago so that I could travel a lot more because I was having to spend so much housing it, right, when I wasn't there. And I get by fine months in Santa Monica, sometimes even in Los Angeles. I've even been at the brewery, which is this wonderful artist community in Los Angeles, and been able to do it there. Again, when I need to, I take the Uber or the Lyft, but a lot of times I can walk or ride a bike or take an e-scooter or take even the metro. And one time I was in Santa Monica and I got invited to a box at the Laker game, and decided to take the metro because it's terrible traffic trying to get to a Laker game. And it was so much easier, so much faster and less stress. So again, really rethinking transportation can be good for our mental health in addition to our wallet. So, okay, those are some life hacks on utilities. Wait, there might be one other thing I want to show you here real quickly if I can find it. Hold on. Might There we go. So again, insulating properly, whether you're a renter or a homeowner, you can reduce your electric bill by up to 90%. So get your landlord to do it for you. Up to 90% save. This is that passive house that I toured that I told you. It only had to turn on the heat twice in the winter. It was so well insulated. The minute a human goes inside there, it just warms up. So again, smarter choices, whether it is, we've talked about now, smarter choices, these are all the big ticket. These are things that can literally save us thousands of dollars. Most of it will improve our lifestyle, and it's definitely healthier for the planet. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Again, this is Natalie Pace. You can watch all of these back at youtube.com/Natalie Pace. If you'd like the entire series and the links so that it makes it easier for you, just email info@nataliepace.com. Do share with your friends and subscribe at YouTube. Visit, you might also want to join our mailing list at Natalie Pace because we send out weekly money tips, and of course on my social media, daily money tips. You can find my social media very easily. Just go to nataliepace.com, and right there you'll see all of them. I have a podcast on Apple and Spotify. We do free video conferences once a month at least. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, email, Spotify, and YouTube right there. And even I embed the Instagram feed on the homepage. So you can check out money. It's, Instagram's kind of weird because you don't know what it is that I'm talking about behind all these, but you might click over and go through there as well. All right, thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be starting on the Thrive side and how important that is to increasing our income, because 3 out of the top 3 things there increase our income, and one of them is going to make it possible for us to work at all. So we really need to understand the thrive side in addition to how we can get our basic needs under um, 50%. Now, after the thrive, we're going to talk more about debt reduction strategies because we didn't go deeply into that, but we will go in a little deeper. Again, there's an entire section on debt in the ABCs of money. See you tomorrow.